back to another live stream. You guys, please share, subscribe to this channel. We got breaking news. Antarctica invisible shield is breaking, and the whole world could drown. For decades, an invisible force, a strong ocean current, has guarded Antarctica's icy stronghold as a natural barrier against the invading warmth of a northern sea. New study, however, shown this shield is failing, and the results could be disastrous. Meltwater from the collapsing ice sheet of the continent is accelerating the little known but important Antarctic slope currents. The ASC, although a faster current, would seem like a better defense. Researchers cautions it could backfire, releasing a turbulent eddies of warm water, chewing Antarctica's delicate ice sleeve from below. Should this shed fall, the floodgates could open for runway sea level rise, arcing coastlands, and submerging cities all around. The stakes are simply too great. With 90% of the world ice found in Antarctica, almost 200 feet, 58 meters, will be rise in global sea levels. Should it be completely melted? The issue now is not whether the shield will fade, but rather how quickly, and if mankind can act in time. So driven westward along the continental slope, the narrow, quick moving Antarctic slope currents, the ASC circles the continent. Its function is base but important. It serves as a cold wall, preventing warmer offshore water from contacting the Antarctica's ice sleeves. Without it, the already fragile ice sheets, especially in the West Antarctica, will suffer even faster melting from below, where warm water ocean currents are far more destructive than increasing air temperatures. Recent research revealed that ASC is accelerating by 14% over the past 25 years. Forecast indicates a 49% accelerations by 2025. Although this sounds like welcome news about a better barrier against heat, reality is far more dangerous. The meltwater is disrupting the current with a twist. Human-driven ice melt naturally. Force is the reason. The ASC is accelerating. Large volume of fresh water dumped by glaciers into the southern oceans change ocean density and lower as they break down. This freshwater lid throw off the formation of the Atlantic bottom water, a dense current supporting war oceans celebrations. So we see the current supporting the world oceans circulations here is how this can rapidly intensify. A faster ASC create more turbulency wind pools that pump water towards the ice, that pump more warm water towards the ice. These eddy acts like underwater drills, ice leave from below the same process that doom. So we see the shield itself is accelerating the very destruction it was meant to prevent. Now, the domino effect of how Antarctica collapse will drown the world. So the ice of Antarctica does not just vanish, it set off a domino effect. Now, what will happen if these glaciers rapidly melt quickly? So the rising sea level will have to rise to a fair height that manpower will never see in this lifetime. Now it says by several feet, by 2100, even from a partial melt will cause hundreds of millions of coastal cities to be displaced. Meltwater modulates the worldwide belt of ocean currents, upsetting marines and weather patterns. Exposed dark ocean absorb more heat, so hastening the circle of global warming. The most fragile is the rest Antarctic ice. Should it fall, global sea level could rise by 10 feet, 3 meters, significant to submerge. So it says observing 40% of human generates and 75% of extra heat. The Southern Ocean is the largest climate regulator on Earth, but is getting close to its breaking point. Under ice sleeve, warm water are sinking beneath them from below. So it said, should the ASC weaken even more, the capacity of the southern oceans could counteract global warming, could vanish, hastening global climate catastrophic. So he says the situation is not hopeless right away. The ASC could be stabilized, though World Corporation is lagging. The Antarctic Treaty systems provide a structure. So we see still one of the least studied ocean systems, the Atlantic slope currents, is important. Unlikely. The headlines grabbing the sea ice loss of Antarctica hidden currents so slightly. Still, the breakdown may be far more disastrous. Scientists liken it to digging a plug from a bathtub. Once the ASC destabilized, warm water floods in, and the melt is uncontrollable. So we come into a tipping point. Now, the clock is clicking. So now, as the clock is ticking, the invisible shield of Antarctica is failing and time is running out globally. The disturbances of the ASC signals are a tipping point that might lock a permanent sea level wise. The fix is to cut emissions now, say polar oceans, and treat the Antarctica as the worldwide lifeline it is. If we don't rest, Antarctica collapse will be our doing. The shield is fractured. Will we act before the very late date? So now I'm gonna roll this clip. Thank you guys for tuning in for another live stream. So the Antarctica, the sea level will rise to in Fahrenheit if we don't react to a global change. That means you have tons of water flowing down to the now seashore line, and that tons, millions of tons of water will destroy the coastlands. Now let's roll this video. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get this show on the way.
Can't the military come in and throw rockets and bombs at the mountain and the glacier and just blow it up in tiny pieces so that the whole thing will not come down as a big landslide bomb on the village of Blunden? This is how desperate the situation is right now. This question was really asked at today's press conference about the dire situation for the village of Blunden. But now, the problem child is not only the mountain that's coming down, it's the glacier. Because if the glacier comes down, it will not only throw debris and ice and everything to bury Blunden, it will also have consequences for other villages. So things are getting worse. That glacier is.
If that whole glacier melt, it will be a catastrophic event. That means the sea level will increase. It will be flooding through parts of the country. And it will be millions of tons of water flowing down. And this will bring 90 million people at a risk. Let's go.
Hanging there on a threat because we have masses of rocks that have broken down on that little balcony of glacier, and the glacier is already moving down at accelerated speed. It's accelerating every day. So what is the latest about this problem? The people have been evacuated, everyone's safe. The village lies there empty, and of course the residents are desperate. When can we come back? But there is no timeline. They cannot come back. And here there's a new video that surfaced how the mountain started breaking apart, and you see really the right side in the screen how it is a time lapse breaking off, how the whole mountain is moving down. And that, almost all of that, is now lying on a glacier that is already starting to break, and we're seeing ice crumbs falling down in lahars already. It's losing its stability and the weather's getting warmer. A glacier scenario would affect more villages in the valley.
See, it's losing its stability. So what she's saying, it will affect a lot of people in the northern valleys. Just think how many people will be impacted if the glaciers melt by this year. You're going to get a significant of flooding in the northern parts. Remember, I told you at tons of water will float into the northern. That means you have, you know, all around from the state of Montana, Minnesota will see mad flooding in South Carolina, North Carolina, all and through the New England states. Virginia will see a lot of flooding. Let's go.
Valley, but that is the most likely scenario right now. The alarm is sounding in the Swiss municipality of Platten because this landslide will be massive when it comes down, and the rocks and everything, the ice could trigger an even more devastating scenario. It's super hot, super hot. 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 None of bands by the best shop. Now the glacier scenario is looming. Now the officials are asking themselves the question, what if the mass of that glacier comes down instead of...
The glaciers is moving rapidly. It's coming down so fast that scientists is predicting that the coastal lands will be more at risk because things is coming down at a rapid speed. And if you're in the northern parts, there's going to be a significant impact of flooding. Just think 90 million of mankind will be wiped out. That's a huge number.
of just the landslide. Because before it was just the rocks coming down, but now the rocks are bringing the glacier with them. Communities further down in the valley will have a serious problem. They call it thunder over Blatten. I said in my last video, the mountain is shooting out bullets. It's shooting out rocks like bullets. And it comes with that massive, massive roar and sound. If you hear it here, this is absolutely crazy. And if you want to hear more about that, watch out my last video that I did about that. But the problem that is currently emerging is that the mountain is already crumbling massively, and tens of thousands of cubic meters of debris have already fallen. This was at the beginning, they thought that's a good thing, that it's constantly throwing down smaller rocks and that it's not all coming down at once like a big avalanche that is cut loose. Because that's how it looks when that mountain is cut and it's moving down. You all have seen avalanches, how they start. You see the crack, and you see this here also in the press conference. There they showed the horizontal crack of the mountain. And if this all comes down at once, it's absolute, then it's over for the village. So they were happy that it's crumbling down. But the problem is, it doesn't change the fact that all the material now has accumulated at once. As again, is now also threatening to come down at once the glacier breaks. But now the glacier's coming as well. Had the glacier not caught everything, the situation would have been better. So now they have to change their planning and their determination of the danger zone. So that's why I said they fear a chain reaction. And the glacier coming down could also block a river that then could also flood other villages. And the chain reaction is large mudslides, Lahar style, mud, ice, rocks. Authorities are saying, they said today, we're hoping for the best, but we're preparing for the worst. What is the best? That is the question now. Is there a best case scenario? That now everything's on the glacier and the glacier will hold? Will you then be able to send the people back? That's way too much risk now that summer's coming. melting water is infiltrating the glacier. They will be displaced long term. So that's why the voices were calling, can we explode the glacier? But unfortunately, authorities said, no, that's absolutely impossible. Logistically, it's impossible, but also it.
Give a huge shout out to this sister, man. Man, what if we get the entire glacier to fall? This gonna, you know what I mean, rapidly intensify, and that means a third of mankind will be under a flood. That means you got to look at 90 million American people. If this glacier will melt, the sea level will rise at a significant 10 feet. Things will eventually rapidly intensify. And if the glacier melt, this will be a disastrous, catastrophic event. So big shout out to the sister, man, because man, she cover up these kind of daily news. So, man, huge shout out to the sister, man. Let's roll this clip. Thank you guys for tuning in, man.
It has been tried in the past. It's impossible to blow up a glacier with ice. It's not working. Authorities and residents, of course, are saying we are crisis resistant here in the Löschental. And the mayor of Blatten says, the longer this landslide crisis continues, the more difficult it will become for us. Switzerland knows that the danger can persist for a very long time.
Still trading without real-time data or short locates? You spotted the setup, but your broker couldn't keep up? Tired of seeing stocks move before you can?
And I remember about the village of Brienz. I reported about this last year. Was a very similar situation, had to be evacuated for a month because a huge rock slide, the mountain came down and just stopped super briefly in front of the village, creating scary pictures. And then it had to be evacuated again because another landslide was impending. And for Brienz, they will see more evacuations. That's what authorities are making clear. And also, if we look at another village, Bondo, it happened to them in 2017. It was hit by a mudlahar, and these rock slides, mountain slides, they're happening more and more often in this region of the Swiss Alps. And the reason, amongst other reason, is the increasingly melting permafrost that brings the mountains in motion. So usually in the higher areas of the Swiss Alps, the ground is permanently frozen. That's called permafrost. It's basically inside the hidden rock walls and also mountain peaks. And a typical appearance and mountain form of this mountain permafrost of the Alps that you see there, it's called like block glaciers. They consist of large blocks of ice, and they creep downhill under the influence of gravity at a rate of, decimeters to meters per year, indicating the presence of permafrost. But the big glacier right now is coming down with 4 to 5 meters, like 16 to 17 feet per day, the whole thing. And permafrost is defined by temperature, and it reacts very sensitively to changes in climatic conditions. And when permafrost thaws, the stability of these vast mountain masses suffers. So that's why we see these movements happening that result in landslides and dangers for mountain dwellers like the village of Blatten. That's why the authorities said today the situation at the big glacier remains very critical also today. It's difficult difficult to predict how it will change under the pressure of this massive debris of rocks, because now a total of 9 million tons of additional weight are lying on this glacier that's already moving towards the valley. So far, the glacier is holding. The expected major collapse hasn't occurred yet. But the situation remains highly dynamic. That is what they're saying. And what happened now overnight, there was a light precipitation that was falling at regular intervals throughout the night. So like a continuous, how they say, cone-like sound was again audible. They heard this mysterious sound. They say this is an indication of ongoing material movement on that steep slope. That sounds absolutely scary. I'm so glad the village is empty, the cows are out, all the animals are out. And what's particularly striking is this flow of debris that is still happening, and it's steadily increasing in size, and it moves increasingly downhill after these partial collapses. And also, the dynamics of these flows are noticeably increasing. The material that is carried becomes denser, and the advance towards the valley becomes more visible day by day. The current key facts that they're giving us about the Bilch Glacier: further glacier collapses have occurred across the entire front width of the glacier. The glacier collapses so far did not reach the valley floor. The rubble ran down to about 2,150 meters above sea level. The glacier moves at a rate of 4 to 5 meters, 17 feet per day. Overlay puts a lot of pressure on the glacier. Of course, now they're continuously monitoring and analyzing the glacier. The maximum height of this embankment that is now resting on the glacier, on this balcony of glacier, is as high as 81 meters. It's really, really high. And the peak of the mountain.
Should this shield falls, see, the floodgates could open for a runway sea level rise, arching coastlands, and submerging cities all around. The stakes are simply too great. 90% of the world ice found in Antarctica, almost 200 feet, 58 meters, will be rise, and the global sea level, should it be completely melted? The issue now is not whether the shield will fade, rather how quickly and if mankind can act in time.
Of the small Neston mountain is now lower due to the collapse of these rocks, due to that rock slide, the mountain breaking apart. The highest point is now 101 meters lower than before. That's a lot. This glacier in this area was once a symbol of nature's beauty. Now it's a ticking geological time bomb hanging above the evacuated village of Platten in the Löschental Valley. And for those that have been following my channel, you know this is the third video that is covering this unfolding crisis, but stunning videos in the other two videos. I'll put them in the end screen. And since then, of course, things have become even more serious.
Okay, I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Yeah, so the total.
And because the glacier is not just moving, it's accelerating right now. This is a fact that we can't deny. The glacier is sliding downhill, and what the numbers are saying, this is not normal. It's not like it's spring. This is normal. Glaciers are always moving. It's more than double what you might see during a warm summer in the Alps. This is not a normal glacial melt. This is pressure from above. All of these 9 million tons of rocks are now on this fragile piece of ice. And that is now cracking.
Look, she said it's pressure from above. See, when you understand God is control of the land and sea and air, when you understand that He's taking back the right to rule. See, when people understand that God controlled the land, sea, and air, she just said that this is being controlled in so many hints. She's saying from above, from the man above. So things is gradually you know what I mean, approaching. These pledges are really activating. And see, the question is how fast mankind gonna, because I told you what it said in Ezekiel 26:18, that the coastland will be destroyed and it will be a terrifying event. When you see the glaciers is acting up, hurricane season is just around the corner. What happened if those glaciers melt when you got summer around the corner? You know, now you see things are rapidly intensifying. You might say, why should these things hit America? Because we see America is filled with devils. You got every unclean person living here. And this is why God comes to straighten out this crookedness and to move this wicked, rubbish, white man's world, as we once called. But things now you see over there in Antarctica is just rapidly intensified. Let's go.
And the new pictures that they're showing us, there's now a nearly continuous crack across the glacier surface. So it's only, in my opinion, a matter of time until a big chunk is coming down. And also the authorities said on the press conference today, the ice will not stay where it is. It is already on the move. So this glacier, loaded with billions of kilograms of rock, is breaking up and it's sitting just above a normally, thankfully now, evacuated area. So this is a real danger. The entire slope could collapse in the form of a massive debris flow. They call this murga. It could rush through the valley and through London. And I want to make it clear again, they said that in the press conference, a controlled detonation would definitely lead to an uncontrolled disaster. So instead, they're just watching. They're watching and waiting. They're using a multi-layered monitoring system, GPS sensors track movement, radar systems monitor deformation, and visual inspections continue day and night. But even that has its limits. What's going on inside of the mountain? This area is very remote. Mobile coverage is patchy. Data isn't always transmitted in real time. So in fact, the officials have admitted during this press conference that that's a big problem. Data loss and delays are hindering their ability to assess the glacier's condition at all times. And then there's a new concern about the weather.
Why is Amazon paying me $63,000 a month? Well, I didn't make this kind of money selling yoga mats and toasters, and I damn sure.
If the temperatures rise suddenly or if there's heavy rain, the glacier could destabilize even faster. And there is rain in the summer. So the meltwater would actually act as lubricant beneath the ice and debris, helping it like slide down faster, like you put jelly underneath this. That would increase the risk of a sudden landslide, everything coming down at once. And the people of Blatten, meanwhile, they wait. Many of them have been evacuated now for over a week. They first evacuated one part of the village, only 90 people, and then they saw the danger is increasing, so they evacuated everyone, over 300 people, plus cows and animals. But it's only nature will decide when or if they will be able to return to their village. So for now, the road through the valley remains closed, electricity is turned off, animals were evacuated even by helicopter. You remember the cow flying through the air if you have seen my last video. Many people are staying with relatives, others are in emergency shelters. The community is strong, but fear is definitely growing. And the authorities aren't giving a timeline. How could they? They said today, there's no return date. We're not at the stage where we can say when it will be safe again. And they stressed that only about 1/3 of this unstable slope has collapsed so far. So that means a large part of the mountain slide, millions of cubic meters of rock, is still precariously balanced above the glacier. So it's not if something will happen, it's when. And during that press conference, one reporter asked, well, do you expect another rockfall? And the answer was yes. The slope is not yet done moving. The forces acting on the glacier and the surrounding rock are still changing. Any further movement could trigger more collapse. We have to stay alert. And so the monitoring continues, the valley remains empty, and the mountain is waiting for its moment, so it seems. The cracks are growing in the glacier and the mountain. The debris that sits on the glacier is like a loaded weapon, held back only by that cracking ice that is also.
All right, you guys. We have things are really gradually approaching. All of these things are lively in motion, y'all. And it's like you can feel that at some point the earth is going to split, it's going to burst, as though a revelation been given. So pretty much this is what we have. You know, we got the glaciers are melting so fast at a rapid speed. So it's melting significantly. So like I said, this is for more updates. You guys, stay tuned, share this video for updates, man. So like I said, don't forget to practice the 3 P's: prepare, practice, persevere. We out.